All right, everybody. In today's video, I'm going to be joined with my good friend Izak. It has been so long since the last time Izak and I did a video on my channel. If you guys are like an OG on my channel, he was actually quite a frequent guest, and especially at the 2022 World Cup. I mean, we stayed together and we hung out a lot for that tournament. And I thought, you know what? It's been a long time since we've had Izak on, and he's kind of like the guy when it comes to international football. And this was a video I was meaning to do. And I felt what better time than now to bring him back on to rank the Asian national teams groups at the 2026 World Cup from hardest to easiest. And do any of the national teams actually have a chance of getting out, yes or no? And that's all the discussions in this video. And Izak and I, off recording, I've already decided which is the hardest to easiest groups. So we already have that selected. And you guys in the comments down below, let us know if you guys agree or disagree with our hardest to easiest groups. And we're going to start with the hardest one and work our way down to why we selected these groups as the easiest, the hardest, XYZ. But before we get into it too, guys, make sure to smash the like button on this video. Let's get to over like 150 likes, because I know my fellow Asian national team friends on the YouTube internet webs is going to make it happen. And as well, we're on the road to 6,000 subscribers before the 2026 World Cup, and I know I can reach that with your guys' help. So Group I is what we selected as our hardest group, but you all may be wondering and curious, well, there's no Asian national team in sight right now. Well, we decided to include this playoff two team, and that could possibly be Iraq. And Izak and I are actually quite confident that Iraq could be the national team to make it out. So we decided to include Group I, and this one's going to be, we're all going to imagine right here that Iraq is that national team in the question mark slot. But Izak, I'll let you take it away. Why did we select this one as the toughest group? Even though I don't know if we need to really preface it, but I'll let you take it away.
This is by far, in my opinion, the group of death. I mean, Iraq is going to be a cool inclusion. I really rate the side, but still, even with Graham Arnold at the helm, it's still going to be too much of a task when you've got a side that's made it to two World Cup finals in a row. Senegal only are looking stronger compared to the past. I mean, I honestly think their side right now is stronger than when they won the AFCON a few years back. They have so much more depth, so many young players on the rise. And Norway, do I need to say more? I mean, they have one of the strongest attacks in Europe. They scored the most amount of goals in World Cup qualification. This is the toughest task for any team placed here, whether it's Iraq, Bolivia, or Suriname. I don't really have faith in them to progress, unfortunately. I would love to be proven wrong, but I think all those sides are easily getting first, second, and third. Iraq are like the easiest team to throw at fourth place.
I was gonna throw this out there for just out of your curiosity, because when I saw this group get laid out and it being the Intercontinental Playoff 2 nation to be in it, at this point, like when you qualify for the World Cup, you're just there to just be there at this point. Now that you see this group, you're like, shit, is it even worth? Obviously, it's worth it to be at the World Cup, but it's like at this point, we're just here for the kicks and giggles if we do end up qualifying. But in all consolation, though, when it comes to talking about Iraq, I mean, they have definitely, if they do end up qualifying, they made it the most difficult way to qualify, because I felt they were a shoe in to make automatic qualification back in, what was it, round 4, when Jordan ended up pipping their spot right at the end and taking the automatic qualification spot. Again, they had a second chance to get automatic qualification in round 5. They were close, couldn't make it happen. Qatar stole the spot. I would have personally much preferred Iraq to get the spot than Qatar, and we'll get on to why I think that. Yeah, but I mean, one thing I will say is, play devil's advocate here. Throwback to the 2014 World Cup, and the certain national team I'm talking about is Costa Rica. They were the team that everyone thought, oh, Italy, Uruguay, and England were for sure going to trample on. They ended up topping the group. I mean, I think this would be even a taller task to that, but we have seen stuff like this happen before.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, I wouldn't put it past us. Like Costa Rica's run was incredible, but obviously all those teams they were paired up against have so much legacy. But I would honestly argue that these sides are like, maybe you can make some arguments about France not being at their peak in terms of their form under Deschamps, but still with the depth they have, Senegal and Norway, you can argue are looking like the best they have in quite some time. Obviously, Senegal won the AFCON a few years ago, but still, their form has been rock solid. So if Iraq pull through in a group like this, getting first, I would be speechless. I would genuinely be speechless. Like
Okay,
it's
we'll dial it down a little bit. Do we see, okay, let's say Iraq qualify. They make it into this group. Could they get any points now? I think that's more of the interesting conversation to have if they do qualify from the Intercontinental Playoff and into this group. Because I will say this, I do have a funny feeling they could get points off of France or Senegal. Not Norway. I think Norway is the kryptonite for all of the Asian national teams in regards to, because just their attack is nuts. You could argue, yes, France's as well. I think Norway's is on a different level right now, but I do think they could nick points off of France or Senegal. I don't know how, but it's just my weird footballing brains telling me that it could happen.
of course it can happen. Like it's football, anything's possible. But honestly, I don't see it. I just don't. I again, I really hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see Iraq tell a fantastic tale, but I really just rate all these teams right now. It's just as simple as that. If it was like any side that was somewhat easier, like replacing even Senegal, I'd give them some benefit. But Senegal is one of the best teams in Africa right now, if not the best. France, with all that World Cup pedigree, maybe they might underestimate Iraq and they can squeeze through. But in my opinion, I don't see it.
All right, well, there's looks like there's no hope. It's Jover for Iraq if they do end up qualifying. Moving on to our next group, and that is Group K. So the next Asian national team we're going to be highlighting is Uzbekistan, who are in a group with Portugal, and most likely I think it's going to be DR Congo and then Colombia. Which again, this is like, I would say, a B Tech version of Group I. Like, I still think this is really, really tough because you have one of the best teams in Europe in Portugal, and obviously they have one of the GOATs, Cristiano Ronaldo, Colombia, who have been on a bit of an ascendancy these last couple of years, making Copa America finals, going on crazy unbeaten runs internationally. And if DR Congo is the nation to qualify, we're a national team that made a lot of upsets in their pathway of qualifying for this World Cup, knocking out Nigeria, a national team that boasts a lot of top talent, who we all thought was going to be the nation that would be at this point instead of DR Congo, but they've proved absolutely everybody wrong. This is Uzbekistan's as well first ever World Cup appearance. Isaac, what is your thoughts on it?
Look, I was really happy when Uzbekistan qualified. This side have been going through way too many hardships in World Cup qualification, so I'm so happy they're here. And I honestly had a lot of hope for them to maybe have some kind of dark horse run. But I've mentioned it in my videos, I don't really rate their manager right now, Cannavaro. As a Dinamo Zagreb fan, he was one of the worst managers we've had. He's had a pretty bad record in his other clubs as well. And I know he's been getting some decent friendly results lately, and he's kind of given the side a bit more confidence within the attack because Uzbekistan's strength, I think, is really their defense. They've always been known for that. And they even have some key men like Hushinov, everyone knows, but even their goalkeeper, over half of his appearances have been clean sheets. So, but again, it's just all those other teams they're facing that makes me really question them, especially with Cannavaro at the helm. DR Congo, I really, really rate this side. Like you mentioned, they knocked out Nigeria and Cameroon, and that side is looking more united than they have in the past. And they're really building on some project. I mean, they also made it to the semifinals of the last AFCON. I could see them having another deep run at this one. Colombia, shaky form, but again, we all know the top talent they have. They're going to be hungry. Luis Diaz, such incredible form right now, and he's never played in a World Cup before. And Portugal, I think, even with Ronaldo past his prime, this is the most complete Portugal side we have seen.
I think
They have
in our lifetime, I think, for what when I've
yes,
seen Portugal
absolutely.
play, yeah.
Yeah, they're looking incredible in every position. So many great youngsters coming through. Their midfield is solid. Uzbekistan, I definitely think have what it takes to maybe scrape a point or even two. I don't know. Maybe they can get that upset win. I don't want to fully rule them out, but again, it's just a tough group with a lot of teams hungry for some World Cup success. So unfortunately, it's somewhat easy to underestimate them here.
Now moving on to Group F, which features the Netherlands, Japan, European Playoff B, most likely being Poland is what Izak and I are assuming, and Tunisia. This group is difficult, but if we had any nation, this is the thing is with Japan, if there's any nation to do it, it is Japan. Izak knows it very well as they faced off against them. Croatia did in the last World Cup. Also topping their group above Spain and Germany. I will say this though, before we get into talking about Japan, I do rate them very highly, but of course, you know, I love talking about my Asian national teams, showing them support, showing them love. But I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, Japan's finishing top of this group." Like I feel like any neutrals like, "Oh, that's my football hipster pick is Japan will finish top of this group." But I don't think it's as cut
You're
and
calling me
dry.
out.
Oh, are you one of the football hipsters?
Yeah.
But I just feel like every video I'm watching is everyone's like, "Oh, Japan will be a surprise and top their group," but like football's never that like cut and paste. Like
Oh,
I
of
still I
course.
still think they'll have a good shot, but I mean, I'll let you take it away. You give me your thoughts on Japan's odds in this group.
Well, obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong on that pick, but yeah, this without a doubt is one of the tougher groups on paper, but out of all the Asian teams, it seems the easiest to trust Japan in terms of not progressing in the knockouts. But I mean, this group has to be up high as I mean, there's two UEFA teams. And honestly, Poland have been on a rise of their own. Tunisia might even be hard to break down. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on them. But Japan, they really excel in their counterattacking football. I mean, against Germany and Spain, I forgot which match it was. I mean, in both, to be honest, but they didn't really have much possession in either. They just took advantage of the clear cut chances they had, and it worked. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same kind of method against these top teams, even the Netherlands. This side have one of the best squads on paper, but again, when it comes down to management, I don't think Koeman is really the right guy, and he might be exposed to that kind of style of football. That being said, the Netherlands obviously are the favorites to top it, but I could see Japan sneaking into first. That's why I backed them here. And yeah, who knows? They might end up losing to, like, it could be similar to the last World Cup. They lose to the underdog here, Tunisia, but then prevail against both UEFA clubs. I have no idea what to expect, but this group is definitely tricky and tough to predict. You can't rule out any of these teams, but including Japan, that's why I put them at the top.
I was gonna say, if anything, I would argue with you that Poland is if Poland qualified, they would be the easiest opponents because just like Poland, every international tournament, and I mean, if any Polish fans watch this, I'm sorry, but I think you all even can admit you guys always just seem to not be able to put it together in the Euros, the World Cups. You have like one or two like good games maybe, but like you have just such higher expectations for the Polish national team. And I would say, I would actually argue if they do qualify, I think they are the weakest. Even I would even say Tunisia might be just that slightly little bit above them. But again, that's my like there's a little hot take right there. But yeah, I do agree that the biggest problem we've seen with Japan with Moriyasu is he can set his team up so well in these big games against the opponents that you're not expecting them to be able to beat, like we saw in 2022 with Germany, with Spain, but then they lose to Costa Rica, which was a national team that just the previous match lost what 6-0 to Spain. So it's like,
Yeah.
and we even see it in the Asian Cup. They were blowing leads to Vietnam. They still like obviously a peak moment for me. They lost to Iran, but like realistically, they should have been winning that game. So it's like they have brain farts in the games where I think there is more expectation. That's what I'm a little worried about now because everyone's talking about Japan. They now have expectation. So now can they live up to that expectation? Because now everyone knows about them. They know they are a big national team destroyer. They are legit. Everyone watch Blue Lock. Everyone knows. So at this point, can they back it up? I still think they can. I think they'll for sure get out of this group. Like I'm super confident in that. But their group is tricky for sure. Like I don't think it is as difficult as possibly Iraq's and Uzbekistan's because the Netherlands are still good. I think Tunisia are still good. I still think whatever UEFA team makes it out is still good, but they're not like foregone conclusions like in Norway, France, Colombia, Portugal in my eyes. And as well with Japan's experience, now they're higher level talent, not even just attacking wise in the midfield, but even defensively, I would say they've improved a lot. I think Zion Suzuki is a goalkeeper that was the not think he was the laughing stock at the Asian Cup, and now is one of the best goalkeepers in Serie A. So it's like that is definitely nice to have because one of their weaknesses has been in that goalkeeping position. Now you have a guy that is doing it in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. So that would be my take too, and definitely touching upon Tunisia. I mean, especially since we're both wearing African nations right now, we got to show a little African love. Uh, Rocking African jerseys in an Asian football video. I think there as well are very much a team that people are really writing off, but people forget what is it? Tunisia is like third or fourth straight World Cup qualification. They always make it, and even though the choppy waters of African qualification is always difficult, so yeah, I think that would be my final point with that. All right, so apologies to everybody, but Ezok and I forgot to include Group H in the video. So in post productions, I've recorded a quick little bit talking about Saudi Arabia's group. And again, I do apologize, but nonetheless, I am including them in the video. And when it comes to Group H, this one's a bit of an interesting one for me because unlike the other groups we're going to talk about in this video, I think there is like a more 50-50. You're kind of stuck in a little bit of limbo here with Saudi Arabia. Of course, they're playing against Spain, they're playing against Uruguay, and Spain's one of the favorites to win this whole World Cup. But Cape Verde is the match that makes things a little bit interesting for Saudi Arabia because if you go into that game against Uruguay, maybe get some points, you might lose to Spain, but you do a little bit of damage control, but go out and win the match against Cape Verde, who are a little bit of an unknown because it's their first ever World Cup, one of the smallest ever nations to qualify for a World Cup. We just have to see with Saudi Arabia. We saw in the last World Cup, they won the penultimate match, the hardest match in their group in Argentina, their only loss at the World Cup. Hervé Renard, his halftime rant, just kind of just yelling at the players, going absolutely viral around the world. I love the guy. He's my favorite coach at this World Cup, and he's not even coaching my national team. I wish he was. I wish one day he coaches the Iranian national team, but then fumbled in the easier matches against Poland and Mexico. They weren't able to do anything in those games. Maybe he learns from those mistakes and he's able to galvanize the team to get, because I think the Uruguay game's the crucial one. You get points in that game, you really have a shot. But again, that's like the same thing that happened at the last World Cup. You had a shot, you beat Argentina. All you needed was maybe a draw against Mexico or Poland, and you weren't able to do that. So it's like, it depends for me, and I don't think the Saudi Arabia team is as good as they were back in that 2022 World Cup cycle. I still think they're okay, but I'm not as confident as I once was. I think Hervé Renard is kind of their saving grace, but even then, it's been kind of choppy waters with his return back to the national team. I still don't think they fully recovered from the whole Mancini disaster. So this one I'm unsure about. I think they could maybe squeak third. I just am not sure if it would be enough to get them out, but I do have a little bit more of an inclination that Saudi Arabia could just make it to the round of 32, just make it. And I would still like to see it because I think Hervé Renard deserves that kinda glory moment with the Saudi Arabia national team because they do have a very, like, loving relationship. I mean, he left on, loving terms with them, like, he loves the Saudi Arabian national team, and he's come back to save them, qualify them for the World Cup, so I'd love to see him reap those rewards for sure. To Group B, which has Canada, European Playoff A, which I would hope for the sake of all Italians is Italy, Qatar, and Switzerland. This group, if there, okay, this is my hot take. If there was any other Asian national team, I would say this group isn't too bad. Like, I obviously, depending on who makes it out of the European playoff, it could even slightly be easier, but this group isn't too bad, but it's Qatar.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think also that that playoff pick, whether it's Italy or not, I think that can really change things up. But regardless, I don't really see Qatar having a good shot here, no matter who it is. That was more me impacting the rest of the teams. I still see Qatar finishing the bottom here. Switzerland, I think, are one of the most underrated teams in Europe, and they've been on phenomenal form. I don't think they've lost a match in 2025. Some say their group wasn't too hard in World Cup qualification, but Sweden have been in bad form, sure. But I think going into that, there was a lot of uncertainty still with who would actually top it. Canada as well, of course, the host narrative. And I think they've improved a lot since the last World Cup. They have more attacking options. They've developed more. Jonathan David, Promise David.
Just the only question mark for Canada is Alphonso Davies because he will be back,
Yeah,
but what kind of Davies will we see? And I think he is a huge linchpin, of course, for this team. He's a leader.
of course. Yeah. That's definitely a question mark, but still, they have so many incredible reinforcements. This side impressed at the Copa America. I know their run wasn't the most difficult, but still, you got to give credit to Canada for that performance. They did better than any of the CONCACAF teams like the USA who got grouped. And Jesse Marsh, I know mixed opinions about him, but I think for now he's a decent fit for the team. Very passionate about them to excel. Lots underrated players there. And yeah, I'm sorry to say, I just think this group will be quite tough for Qatar to overcome.
I think every Asian national team fan watching the video can agree on this whole Qatar discussion. Like, they were dreadful in qualification. And the funny part is, we are ranking it based off of difficulty, but like, if we really think about it, we would switch Japan and Qatar's group in regards to we do have a way, like, we're so much more confident in Japan making it out of their group than Qatar, but we're basing it off of the group's actual difficulty. And this group, I would say, is definitely easier uh, than Japan's. But yeah, Qatar is probably finishing in last place. They kind of are going to be joining Iraq and Uzbekistan. They will not be joining Japan as one of our possible nations that could make it to the round of 16. Do they have a shot? No. I'd have no faith in them. They haven't shown me anything. I will say this. I think their only two saving graces is Akram Afif, but can he do it against really top level competition? Maybe. And Lopetegui, they do have, I would argue, probably the best coach in this group, funnily enough. I think Lopetegui's a very like high level coach. I mean, he's up there. I definitely think he's better than Jesse Marsh. And I think he's definitely better than Gattuso. I definitely think he's a better coach than the both of them. So he's definitely up there in that regard, but that doesn't win you groups or get you out of groups. So we move on to Group J. Now, this is the group I'm most interested in talking about because nobody is giving Jordan a shadow of a doubt in this group that features Argentina, Algeria, and Austria. Now, I'm excited to talk about it, but I'll let first Izak get underway with it and talk about Jordan with their first ever World Cup appearance.
I actually don't want to rule out Jordan here. I did put them at the bottom in my early prediction video, but it's one of those debutants I would really not be surprised to see sneak through. They play some incredible counterattacking football, and their rise has been insane. They're Asian Cup finalists, and prior they weren't even, I think they barely won any matches in 2024, 2023. So what this side have been able to do is really admirable. They have some great attacking pieces. The one concern I have for them is this is really recent news as well is Al Naimat. He just tore his ACL. So that's a huge blow to miss your main center forward, but I still think Jordan have enough pieces to succeed. They also just made it to the Arab Cup final. So I know the Arab Cup isn't that highly regarded as a tournament because sides don't really take their strongest players, but still, you got to admire the fight Jordan had put off. And against these opponents, of course, Argentina is going to be tough, but Algeria are infamous for bottling AFCONs. They just changed their management, so I think they'll be fine, but you still can't fully trust them, and we have to see how they do in this upcoming AFCON as well. And Austria, they are a side that sometimes exceed expectations, but also randomly fall under their pressure to some underdogs. I know they're doing great stuff under Ralph Ragnick, but they lost a lot of their spark in the last Euros after topping that group of death, immediately losing to Turkey in the round of 16. Not many people expected that. I think that Jordan might be able to squeeze points against Austria or Algeria.
Izak, you took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, I'm excited about Jordan. I mean, as someone that's that follows Asian football very closely. I mean, they were the dark horse story of the previous Asian Cup, making it all the way to the final, unfortunately getting shafted by the guy I just talked about, Akram Afif, in the final. And yeah, they're in a very doable group. They were a national team that went toe to toe with South Korea in the fourth round of qualification, and were very close to being able to maybe even take top of the spot. And this is we're talking about like a South Korean national team that people praise all the time for the most part. Like, I don't think they're perfect, but they're a national team that does half decently well in World Cups. And so I think they could cause some issues here, especially because of the locations as well that they're playing in. We have to talk about some of these things. They're playing like Kansas, Texas. Like, is there going to be that many? Granted, there will be people that travel, but it's like, will there be that many Algerians that go there? Will there be that many Austrian fans that go there? Yes, obviously everyone's going to be there. Messi, Messi. Okay. They might not win against Argentina, but like, I think they could cause some issues here with a shaky Algerian side and a shaky Austria side who haven't been to the World Cup since I think 98. This is their first qualification since then. So it's like, and we've seen Ralph Ragnick, like you said, very up and down, club level, national team level, has good performances, bad performances. Who knows? So I think Jordan can be the gift that keeps on giving, and I think I'm gonna put my neck on the line here. They will make it to the round of 32, be it a third place team or a second place team. I'm stamping it right now. So that means I just brought them up. The next group is Group A, which features Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and it could be the likes of Denmark, or as Izak said in his video, Ireland. Nonetheless, a pretty solid European national team here. And yet again, one of the host nations getting a relatively easier group, but I do think everyone's like somewhat even. And I definitely think South Africa will be the nation that everyone will overlook. The highlight of this group being Mexico, South Africa facing off again for an opening World Cup match. Obviously, it being reversed, this time it being in Mexico, unlike in South Africa. What's your take on South Korea in this group? They're being spoken about. They're not being like not as spoken about as South Africa, but South Korea kind of being a little undermined in this group for sure, a little bit.
My opinion doesn't seem to be the most popular right now. I'm actually getting the most hate in my prediction video from South Koreans. Um, I don't think they're going to do well in this group. Uh, like you said, I think any team should feel confident that they can progress here because these are all doable opponents for each and every one. But that's the problem. Each match, I think, is so 50-50, and I just see more pros for the other teams in this group. South Korea, I'm not fully convinced in their manager right now. I know there's also a lot of backlash with him in the media, but of course they still have so many standout players, which is what sets them apart from these teams. Heung-min Son still balling out in the MLS, Min Jae Kim in the back line. I wasn't really convinced in their World Cup qualification campaign, and their manager as well. He was there in 2014, and they didn't pick up a single win. I feel like South Korea is just not at their glory days right now. It just seems like this side have really struggled to find a proper guy at the helm, which is what's setting them back at the end of the day. Now, do they have a chance in this group? Of course. Mexico are in a pretty bad state right now in terms of their form. They won the CONCACAF Gold Cup, sure, but I don't think they won any friendlies after that. Maybe one at the beginning. I can't remember now. But South Africa, these are one of my underdogs at the World Cup. I think they're looking so good right now. They're Hugo Bruce, one of the most unified teams right now. This is exactly what South Korea are missing. South Africa, so unified under their current management, really trusting their local football, their domestic league, and taking so many of those players. They're obviously not making the biggest headlines, but I still rate South Africa to maybe be able to pick up points against South Korea. It's my hot take. And of course, the European playoff team. Most people are going for Denmark. I went for Ireland. But either way, so much caliber within both these teams. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough days for South Korea. Of course, they can pull through, and it is a doable group on the surface, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on the rest of the teams, I should say.
Yeah, South Korea haven't been entirely convincing. They luckily have this. I think what gives them that little edge is they have that star power, but we'll have to see if it will be enough for them at the World Cup. Moving on to our second to last group. So this is our second to last. So that means the second easiest group, and that is Group D, featuring the USA, Paraguay, Australia, and European playoff path C. Most likely Turkey. I'm pretty confident they will be the national team that do qualify, and I'll take us away on this one. I think Australia is being so, like, undermined in their group, like, so undermined, but I think they've been really, really good since the sacking of Graham Arnold. I think they've looked so much better, like, they're now the Australia of old, and at the end of the day, as much as you never wanna rate Australia, they always do something at a World Cup. I don't care what anybody they always do. Whenever they ruled out of a group, whenever people think, "Ah, maybe not," they always do something. I'm more bullish on Turkey as well. Like, I think they are probably gonna be if they do qualify, they will be the national team to top the group. I think Australia will get out. I'm so confident. 2nd place team, 3rd place team, I'm writing it off. I think Australia is gonna get out of this group. I don't know how, but they will.
Who would you put in 4th, though?
Paraguay. But the thing is it doesn't that's the tricky part is.
Yeah, no, it's again, that it's that group where I feel like every nation should have the right to feel confident in. I think every side here is happy to have this draw, but again, underestimating any of these teams is a huge mistake, and unfortunately, I put Australia 4th in my prediction, but I'm no fool. I know what they're capable of. I know they're good. And like you said, they always do something at World Cups. Even when they do get grouped, like, they still have some kind of magical
Fight.
moment
Yeah.
that sort Yeah, yeah, like, even in 2014, I could be wrong, I think they lost all their matches there. It was such a difficult group, and still, we saw Tim Cahill get that outrageous volley goal, like, so I'm not ruling out Australia. I know what they're capable of. It's just one of those groups where it's impossible to fully predict anybody because Paraguay have been so good in these qualifiers under Gustavo Alfaro, and but Australia have as well under Tony Popovic. They didn't lose a single qualifier match. If you want to talk about quality, sure, but I still think we can't rule out this side. They have that World Cup pedigree. In the last tournament, they made it out of the groups, even going head to head with the champions Argentina, and even like you said, they did improve. So I know it's a mistake to probably sleep on them, but somebody's got to be at 4th. Again, though, like in terms of the group they have, they should be very happy with it. Again, host narrative for the USA. I know there's been so much controversy within the team. Their form was really poor, but they seem to kind of pick themselves up now. More trust within the team, and I do think by the time the World Cup rolls around, things will start to be in place. It's just the script just feels like it's there for the USA. I can't explain it.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you see this group, the script so looks like it's in play for the US, no question. Yeah, it's tough. I agree. Like, I don't. It's so funny because I feel like the last two groups, this one and South Korea's group, somebody has to be 4th. I just don't. It's like when you go down and you're like, oh, surely this national team has to make it. Surely this national team has to make it. So by default, you guys have to be last, but it doesn't feel right. And that's how I feel
Not
about
at all.
Paraguay. But I just, I've ruled out Australia so many times and I just don't see them not getting out of this group. I just can't. I trust them so much. And also I think their playing style and their squad fits what they're about to play. I think they could bully the US. I think they could bully Turkey. I think they are the perfect opposite to these national teams in this group. Paraguay, I think could be actually a challenging one. I think they can go toe to toe. But we did see the USA already have friendlies against Paraguay and Australia. My question to you is, do you put any stock in that for the US? Even though I know this is about mainly Australia, but it does kind of play a part in it. Does that play a role in this?
Of course, it's just friendlies. They're testing the waters, but I wouldn't put like the most weight in friendlies. I think that things are definitely subject to change, and we've even seen in the last World Cup, the USA and I think who was it? England? There was some major UEFA team. They had so many howlers prior in friendlies, and they both made it out of the group fine. Of course, you can get some incentive. I don't know if 5-1 against Uruguay is fully justified. Even the USA didn't play their main players there, so I feel criminal putting Australia at 4th.
I'll say this, you talk about the 2022 World Cup. Yeah, I mean, Iran beat Uruguay and drew against Senegal. And we all know what happened after that. But nonetheless, like, yeah, I think you do got a point. I don't think you can put too much stock into it, but as well, I do think it plays a little bit of a role in it. I just, I'll close it off. I'm confident Australia will make it out of this group. I love Popovich. I think he's done a great job. And if you know, you know from Asian qualifying, I think he is the guy. But now moving on to the final group. Group G. I've already done 1,000 videos talking about Group G up to this point, so I'll let Izak kind of do the talking. And this is unanimously the easiest group. Oh man, because please, Iran, don't fail me now. Don't do this to me. But Iran's group with Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand. Izak, why is this the easiest group? And I'll let you kind of take it away and carry this conversation.
This is such an interesting group. I feel like most people are not too interested in it, but I mean, like neutral wise, but for each of these teams, so much pressure is there. If you don't fail here, that would be, I think, arguably their biggest disappointment. I know they're not looking as strong as the past. You can maybe argue in 2022, they maybe had those hopeful key pieces clicking, but you're coming up against two sides that have never won a World Cup match before, Egypt and New Zealand. And Egypt is a decent team, to be fair. I really rate their attackers, obviously, but their manager is not really focusing on the defensive issues the side are going through right now. Iran should be able to score against them. If they're compact, Iran should be able to take them on. Egypt, probably most people favorites to maybe get second just with the quality they have, but still, lots of pressure on Iran. They came close in 2018 to make it out of that group. So heartbreaking for them. And New Zealand as well. This is the lowest ranked team by FIFA that is officially qualified for the tournament. And they are a side that you shouldn't underestimate either, of course. I mean, in the last World Cup that they were in 2010, they didn't lose a single match, but they also didn't win any either, just 3 draws. Of course, the squad has changed a lot since. Honestly, I'd argue, besides Chris Wood's development, to me, it looks a bit weaker than 2010. So it's an underdog to not rule out, but one, Iran should feel the pressure to get a result in. After all that heartbreak in World Cup and with this expansion as well, Iran needs to get out of this group. And of course, we cannot forget about Belgium. Belgium, obviously, very, very decent team in terms of their attack, their midfield. They have some of the best names, but I wouldn't say they're defensively sound themselves. Similar to Egypt, to be fair. And I don't trust their manager, Rudy Garcia. Belgium obviously are the favorites to top this group. I don't want to take that away from them, but I think any of these teams should be somewhat happy that this was the pot one side they got drawn with. Just considering Belgium's somewhat fragile situation right now, looking far from perfect. I know they went undefeated in their World Cup qualifier group, but still picked up loads of draws. They failed to beat North Macedonia. So I would not fully trust the Red Devils, and I think one of these sides can at least scrape a point against them. Whether it's Iran, I don't know, but regardless, if Iran don't make it out of this group, I think it's just an embarrassment for them.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern with this group is such a huge opportunity to finally make it happen, but also a huge opportunity to have an absolute face plant. Like, that's genuinely the spectrum that Iran is in. And I think we're seeing a lot of Iranians celebrate this group like we're already through, but not little remembering the short memories of we were blowing leads to Kyrgyzstan. Yes, we won the game. Blowing leads to North Korea. Yes, we still won the game. Haven't been Uzbekistan in the last 6 games. Yes, a lot of it is all just draws, essentially. Blowing 2-0 leads to Tajikistan. Struggling against India. Yes, you win the game. But it's like, only if this was the Iran side of 2018 or 2022 in this group, I would be so much more confident in them. And it's kind of like each national team is. I already brought this up in my previous video. It's the Spider-Man meme. Everyone's pointing at each other because, like, oh, you have defensive issues. Oh wait, you do too. Like, everyone has kind of said, like, oh, we don't like our manager either. We don't think he's that good. Oh yeah, we don't rate our manager either. So it's like everyone kind of has the same issues. I think it really just comes down to, will the stars align for any of them? Because I'm not even ruling out New Zealand. I'm genuinely not. I
You
think they
shouldn't.
could get points here. But the big benefit for Iran is the third place spots. Because realistically, to be one of like what the top 8 finishers in the 3rd place, you just need one win. As long as you don't get your like back blown out and lose like 6-2 like in the England game they had, you're probably going to make it through with that one win over New Zealand. The game for Iran that matters so much is that opening game in LA against New Zealand. The problem I have is there is expectation on Iran. Like 2018, you bring that up. I think that's like the iconic Iran World Cup moment. There was no expectation for them. Nobody gave them a shadow of a doubt. But 2022, there was expectation. So I think that makes it harder for them. I think they like being the underdogs. I think in a sense, people don't actually rate Iran to get out of the group. I think most people, as you said, as neutrals are just like, this group's kind of wank. But I think for like the football sickos like ourselves, and obviously as Iran fans, Egypt fans, we like this group. We're excited about this group. I think this is still a relatively good World Cup group, but you just gotta hope that Iran play with some discipline, like the stars align, the players just decide to just I even said it. I'm gonna back Kalinoi. You know what? I hate the guy, but fuck it. I'm with him till I die at this point because there's such a golden opportunity. I think it just comes down to which national team is gonna click the most. I don't even think it comes down to talent. Which one's gonna be the least shittiest and play with the most discipline? I'm talking about you, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, New Zealand. I think that's going to be the difference for each national team because I think it's going to be minuscule margins here. That's what makes this group so like easy in a sense, but very competitive in another sense.
Like you mentioned, Iran's opener with New Zealand, I think that'll really set the tone for either of those sides. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I believe Iran can at least get one win, but still, it is the easiest group on paper, supposedly. They should feel blessed, but at the end of the day, just based on the situation that you've already explained, it might not be necessarily a cakewalk.
I think Izak took the words right out of my mouth, but boys and girls, mine and Izak's opinion only matters so much. Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Do you guys agree with what we said? Disagree with what we said? Let me know your guys' thoughts. As I said, let's get over 150 likes on this video. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, so let's try to get there before the World Cup. And boys and girls, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click this video next and click over here as I post content weekly and you don't want to miss it. And I hope you all have a lovely day.